Hi, my name is Aile and welcome to my channel. On this video I'm gonna give you 5 Ableton tips for faster workflow. Let's get started. Number 1. Create a template and presets for all your default settings. So every time you open a brand new session, you probably have a handful of go-to plugins or devices that you like to use to begin a track, along with some tracks for any instruments you play. If you don't have a template or your default settings saved, you're probably wasting a lot of time just setting up the session the way you like instead of capturing inspiration the moment it hits you. To create your default template, first open a brand new Ableton session. Next, populate the session with all the tracks, devices and plugins that you usually reach for when you start a project. In my case, I like to have a drum rack, a bass track, an audio track for my guitar with my effects and a noise gate already loaded and calibrated. I like to have a piano track for chord progression ideas, and another audio track for my vocals with all my settings and sends already dialed in. I configure both of my audio tracks to receive the input from the channels where my vocal microphone and my guitar are always plugged in. I also have any return tracks that I might use in my session, like some FX sends and parallel compression, as well as a chain for my master track. Once you have your session exactly the way you like, go to Settings, then to the File Folder tab, and where it says Save Current Set as Default, click Save. It will ask you to override any previous default set. Click OK. To save presets or default settings on your Ableton devices, right-click on the device and select Save as Default Preset. If you want to save an instrument track or an audio effects track, populate the rack with the devices that you use the most, and you can either right-click and save as default preset, or click on this icon and save that particular chain to your user library. This is useful if you have several different FX chains for different purposes. I also recommend creating presets for the plugins that you find yourself using the most. A lot of them make it really easy to save and organize user presets. Number 2, use your collections. The Ableton Collections is a very underrated feature. I myself didn't start using it until quite recently, but now that I do, it has saved me a lot of time. Essentially, you have 7 collections that are color-coded. In each of these collections, you can create a shortcut for anything you want to be able to access quickly. To assign an item to a collection, you can either right-click on it from the browser and select the collection, or you can use the numbers from 1 to 7 as keyboard shortcuts to add the item to the corresponding collection. An item can be in multiple collections at once. To remove an item from a collection, either right-click and deselect the item from the collection, or press the number of the collection that you would like to remove the item from. To remove an item from all collections, either right-click on it and select Clear All Colors, or press 0. Number 3. Organize and customize your user library. The user library is where you store all your presets, your default settings, your templates, samples, just about anything you make on Ableton or anything you have customized. This provides a very convenient location to keep everything you want to have access to when you're creating. It also makes it easier to collaborate because you can easily share your user library or items in your user library with other Ableton users. By default, the user library comes with 5 folders, but you can add or remove any folders you want. Right-click on an empty area in the user library to create a new folder. Right-click on a folder or use Command-R to rename it. You can create subfolders by dragging a folder onto another folder. To organize clips within those subfolders, hold the clip over a folder for a few seconds. This will show a drop-down menu with all the content in that folder. An alternate way of organizing your user library is by accessing it through Finder or Explorer if you are on a PC. Ableton will always stay synchronized with any changes made to the folders in the user library. Number 4. Use your controllers as often as possible. When you're creating music or mixing, there's something very intuitive about tactile surfaces. When I have something that I can play like an instrument, I'm usually more inspired and I'm able to capture my ideas a lot faster than I can with a trackpad and a mouse. If you can afford to get a controller that automatically integrates with Ableton, that's gonna speed your workflow even more. If you don't happen to have one like that, here's an alternative I can recommend in addition to a MIDI keyboard. The MIDI Fighter Twister. This is a very useful controller to have in the studio. You have up to 64 encoders that double up as buttons, giving you a lot of customization options with Ableton. Open your default template and map the parameters you use the most by pressing Command-M or Control-M if you are working on a PC. Then click on a parameter and move your controller's surface to assign that parameter to the controller. You can use different pages to map your tracks like you would on a mixing console, another page for global controls, and another page to control a specific device. Next, go to your preferences and save the current set as default like we did on the first tip. That way, every time you start a brand new session, all your parameters will already be mapped. Number 5. Learn keyboard shortcuts. If you want to become really fluent with your DAW, I recommend spending some time to specifically learn and practice new shortcuts. Try to use them as often as possible so that they become second nature. I created a video where I share all the Ableton keyboard shortcuts that improved my workflow the most if you want to check that out. You can also learn shortcuts from different music production blogs or websites, or you can find a comprehensive list of all the Ableton keyboard shortcuts on the Ableton website. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please share it with other people that could benefit from it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.